Day 2 of the NFL's in the books, so let's piss everyone off with some draft grades, starting with the Washington Commanders. And these are draft grades solely for day 2, so rounds 2 and 3. And this is more of a gut reaction. I'll give you my final grades on Sunday after the draft is over. But the Commanders, they took Jerzon Newton early in the second round, and I really like this pick for Dan Quinn. He likes those versatile body types or versatile players along the defensive line. You have two guys in Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, who are very expensive, and you're probably going to move on from one of them in the next couple of years. But again, Newton, versatile body type, kind of a good fit for Dan Quinn. Mike Sainristil was a little bit more puzzling. I believe they traded back for this one. They have Quan Martin there, but hey, Quan Martin, not a part of this regime. It was that past regime, so I understand going out and getting your guy. Sainristil is going to be an interesting fit, though, for a Dan Quinn defense, but like for me, it was the right value for that type of player. And then they got Ben Sinnott, tight end out of Kansas State. He was my tight end too, and someone was going to have to shoot the gun on tight end after Brock Bowers went at 13. And it ended up being the Commanders which, I mean, you could look at their depth currently. I mean, they got Zach Ertz, I think John Bates. They were kind of a shoo-in to take a shot on one of these tight ends on day 2. And I mean, again, Sinnott, tight end 2. I'm really cool with that one. Brandon Coleman was a nice pickup. They at least list him here as guard. Could end up playing tackle. He's got that length. He does have experience on both sides of the football and at both tackle and guard. So I thought that was a quality pick early in the 3rd round. And then at pick 100, they took Luke McCaffrey, which, oh man, that shocked me a little bit, surprised me, and not in a bad way. I like Luke McCaffrey. He has inside-outside versatility. And honestly had a solid showing at the Senior Bowl. Ultimately, like, I think they got good players. I don't know if I was like absolutely in love with this. But I mean, they had a lot of picks. They spent them on quality players. Like Luke McCaffrey was probably the one guy I had a day 3 grade on among this group. I think they did well. I think my gut reaction says B. I think I'm gonna lean into A. I feel like I was a little harsh on day 1 of my draft grades, but I'll sit with A again. I'll maybe come back to this and maybe my mind will be changed by something. I don't know. Tennessee Titans. So they only had one pick and they go with T'Vondre Sweat. And listen, if not for the DWI, he would have been considered largely by everybody a top 50 pick. But because of that, people were dropping him down their boards, because if you were unaware, he had a bit of a history of being a party animal his freshman and sophomore year at Texas. So he kind of spent this whole process saying, hey, that's a thing of the past. And then weeks before the draft, DWI, not a great look. So like there may be that a part of you that's like, man, I'm hoping the Titans just didn't Isaiah Wilson this pick up. But there's no denying the talent. He brings that big, meaty boy on the interior right next to Jeffrey Simmons. And I like that quite a bit. Because of the character things, I'll give it a B for now. But again, that's more of a reflection on the red flags rather than the prospect himself, who is a top 50 player. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So they snagged Chris Braswell late in the 2nd round. They needed an edge. They couldn't come away with an edge on day 1, but I'm sure they're very happy with Graham Barton. So Chris Braswell, he was in that mid-day 2 range. So I like the pick there. And then later in the 3rd round, they go with Tyke Smith. I like that. I like that in the slot. I mean, you could play him at safety, but I think he's going to be a better slot than he is safety. You go back, I mean, Moses' career, he's just been he's been a safety. You go to West Virginia. Like I think like 80% of his career snaps were like lined up 8 yards off the line of scrimmage or less. So, I mean, they need slot. I mean, I think they had a rookie last year that actually did kind of well. But I mean, regardless, I thought it was a solid pick. They grabbed Jalen McMillan, and I mean, I thought they really liked Trey Palmer, but this doesn't necessarily mean they dislike him. Maybe they're just looking for a little bit more firepower receiver. I mean, I think I mocked a receiver to them in my day 2 draft earlier today, so I'm okay with that. I think ultimately I feel like a B. Like, again, doesn't kind of like wow my pants off, but outside, like Tyke Smith, I had just outside my top 100. But Braswell, McMillan, I thought they were taken at their appropriate areas. But other than that, man, I'm just going to say this. I really don't think any team really whiffed in the draft just because the class is that good. All right, let's move on to the San Francisco 49ers who snag Renardo Green. I love this pick. Big fan of this cat. And then they go and get Dominic Pooney, who's going to be a guard. They listed him, when they read off, hey, with this selection, la-di-da, we take guard. They specifically said a guard. So, yeah, no. I honestly think the Niners did a hell of a job on day 2 with the picks that they had. So I'm going to go ahead and give them an A. I mean, Pooney, I had a little bit higher than this. Green, that was about the era I had him in, but I kept seeing people having him as like a late 3rd, early 4th round pick. So it was nice to see, hey. Oh, apparently the Niners loved him as much as I did. Seattle Seahawks, they only had 1 pick, and it was Christian Haynes. Bam, A+. That's right. Phenomenal. They only had 1 other pick, and they needed to get a guard. My only hesitancy is he's been a right guard his whole career. Now you're going to kick him to left. But I'm kind of okay with that because he showed a little bit of versatility at the Senior Bowl where he could play center. Maybe he ends up playing center for these guys. I didn't even think about that. I wanted the Dolphins to take him in the 2nd round, and he ends up falling to the 3rd, kind of like the mid-3rd. So this is a phenomenal pick, I think, by the Seahawks. I think they've had a great draft thus far, despite not really having a lot of early draft capital. Pittsburgh Steelers. They grabbed some really good players. So first they grabbed Zach Frazier. A lot of people were anticipating maybe wide receiver there, but now they kind of solidify their offensive line with Troy Fautanu. You got Isaac Simalu. You got now Zach Frazier at center. You have Daniel James Daniels or Daniels James. I don't know why I always get that backwards. And then Broderick Jones. And again, whatever, Fautanu might end up playing right, Broderick left. I think Mike Tomlin said he doesn't know which side these guys are playing on yet, but they do know Fautanu is going to be their tackle. So bam, offensive line feels like solidified. You got your guys. And then they go get Roman Wilson, which he was a top 30 visit. I kind of anticipated this. I've had this quite a bit in some of my 3-round mocks or in my 7-round mock where I was going over, hey, these were the top 30 visits. As a matter of fact, I think I called in my 7-round mock Roman Wilson and Peyton Wilson to the Steelers. Don't quote me. I know I at least had one of those guys. I really like this draft, man. I really love what the Steelers have done. Like Peyton Wilson, he falls because of the big, obviously injuries, but doesn't have an ACL in one of his legs. So a lot of teams viewed him as just really a 1 contract type of guy. But still, if you could get substantial production in that 1 contract and then bring him back, and even if it falls off, it's still pretty darn good value. I'm going to go A+. Big fan of what the Steelers have done. Let me tell you guys, it ain't changing much. Jalix Hunt, I'll start there. He's a project edge, former safety at Cornell before transferring and making the move to edge at Houston Christian. But very good athlete, good length, really good length. But he's a project. Freaking Cooper DeJean. How do we let Howie get away with this? And even better, I think the trade was really solid. Howie Roseman made some solid trades in here and picked up like 2 extra 4th rounders. Howie, have yourself a day. Excuse me. Even if the Hunt pick was like, okay, yeah, he's like 20, 30 spots higher than where I had him on my big board. I get it. It's fine, but you moved back and you grabbed extra draft capital. Dude, great draft by Howie. New York Jets. So they moved back up and got Malachi Corley. I think that's solid. I think that's good. He is a yak guy. I think he's kind of limited to being a slot, at least very early on, but you could get hella creative with him. This is about the range I had him going. I'm going to just give it an A. Like, again, didn't wow my pants off, but hey, this is about the range. You needed more help at receiver. I like it. New York Giants. So they go Tyler Nubin after the Panthers jump the Giants and they go with Jonathan Brooks. So a lot of my assumption at least is, the Panthers wanted to jump the Giants because they felt the Giants would probably go running back. They go Tyler Nubin. Nubin was like my safety 3 this year. I was a little let down by the testing. I thought he would at least test a little bit better. Not saying I thought he was a great athlete, but thought he was an all right athlete. The testing was like, wow, could have been better. So did it feel like a reach? He's still a top 75 player, so it's fine. Andrew Phillips is a really good fit, I think, here for Shane Bowen and his defense. And it was about the right value, maybe a little higher than I'd want to take him. Again, still not anything that wows my pants off. But I'm not like offended by anything they did. So I'm going to go ahead and just give it a B. New Orleans Saints took Kool-Aid McKinstry. I love Kool-Aid. I can't help it. I love Kool-Aid. So I think I was a little harsh with the Fuaga and trying to really get into like, maybe... I don't know how he's going to do on the left side, bloody daw. And it's like, no, that's a good pick. They got a really good player. It should have been an A. I love this Kool-Aid. Like, first off, I kind of assumed he might fall anyway. And he'd probably end up being an early second rounder. So probably the NFL seemed to agree that they saw him more as an early second round pick. For me, the value is great. He was 22 on my big board. This will allow you to get cheaper, whether that's eventually getting off Marshawn Lattimore's contract or maybe not re-signing Adebo. You now have options at the very least. So great move, I think, by the Saints. New England Patriots. I ain't gonna lie to you, this was kind of mid to me. Their second round was kind of mid. I was a big fan of Jalen Polk. I had a top 50 grade on him. There were a couple other guys I think I'd rather take at receiver, but I think he probably has the most high-end number 2 ability. I didn't love the Caden Wallace guy pick. I had like a 4th or 5th round grade on him. Could end up being a guard, but I felt like why not go with one of the project tackles that were on the board instead of Caden Wallace. I don't know. To me, this kind of felt mid. This might be a little harsh now. I don't know. Again, I'll rethink these after tomorrow when the draft is over, but I'm giving it a C. Minnesota Vikings, you weren't even here today. You go ahead and party. You had yourselves, I think, a very good day 1. Los Angeles Rams were busy freaking bees. So, I'll say Blake Corum till the end. Because I'll just say I had a moment on the stream about Blake Corum. Braden Fisk, I get it. The NFL was higher on him than I was. Aaron Donald, no longer there. This makes perfect sense. This is like probably going to be like a B for me. Cameron Kitchens, take that shot on a guy that has that big playmaking ability. Cameron Kitchens is that. You just got to take some of the good with the bad when it comes to just the coverage bust. But I think he could honestly be an improvement over Russ Yeast at the very least. He's gonna contend for that starting spot. Blake Corum. This is a good pick, guys. I have Kyron Williams on my dynasty team. Yeah, we're talking dynasty fantasy football right now. So I had a trade pitched to me. Like, this was like a month ago. I got offered Kyron Williams and a 3rd round pick in this upcoming draft. And for Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb. And I just got Chubb, ironically, for like a 3rd rounder, and I think it was like Sam Howell. No, it was Sam Howell, and I got Nick Chubb in a 3rd rounder. So Nick Chubb, I was kind of like just banking on because I really had nothing to running back. Derrick Henry was getting older, so I was like, if I hold on to him much longer, I'm gonna be stuck with him when he's just not productive anymore. So I was like, cool, I could get a young running back here. I love it. That's great value. You got some unsureness with the injury with Nick Chubb. So I made the move. I got Kyron Williams. If they took like an Audric estimate, it's like, okay, that's fine. It is what it is. You know, that's good backup back, good power back to complement Kyron Williams. He's not going to really eat into some of that production. The minute they took Blake Corum, I'm terrified. Red zone touches? Oh, no, come back to me. Like, this is legitimately probably going to be a split backfield. And it broke my heart. And it made me want to just be like, screw this pick. But I think they did a good job. I think I'm going to give the Rams an A. I think they did good, man. They hit up on some of the positions they needed, especially like the defense. They got a running back, one of the top ones in the class. I think they did a good job. Maybe I end up being a little lower on this later on. We'll see. I feel like with this draft class, it was kind of hard to have a bad draft class. It kind of was. Like, even that C I just gave the Patriots, I felt bad about. Because I was like, they got good players. Chargers, they get Ladd McConkey. They move up and get him. Solid, good. I like it. He's a guy that can work outside, work in the slot. I think he's going to be more of like a 60-40, like 65% of the time in the slot. Great. You're just giving Justin Herbert more weapons. And then, of course, freaking Jim Harbaugh's got to get his guy, but Junior Colson was really good value at this point at the beginning of the 3rd round. Gives them a heavy hitter. Remember, they also have, well, I'm blanking. They just drafted him out of Washington State last year. Granted, he's not Harbaugh's guy, but, I mean, he's a guy with a ton of upside, very good athlete. Henley? I want to say it's Henley. Yeah, it's Henley. So Henley probably has a potential to get the start. So you have your thumper and Colson, and then you have Henley, who's going to be that speedy, rangy linebacker. I really like that as a duo. I'm going to go ahead and give it an A. I think it was a good draft thus far. Kansas City Chiefs. They only had one pick here because of, moving up for Worthy. But they get Kingsley Suamataia. This was a guy that was talked about as potentially going at 32 to the Chiefs. There was some late rumors with that. I didn't buy it. They got him here at the back end of the 2nd round. Great, good project tackle, in my opinion. I'm going to give it an A. Good job, Chiefs. Real quick, let me give a shout out to Underdog of Fantasy. When you sign up using promo code Broshmo, they will match that first deposit up to $100 dues. And it's not just football. They do all the sports, but they got some draft stuff going on right now. So if you want to go ahead, check that sucker out, then sign up, use promo code Broshmo. They'll match that first deposit up to $100 dues. But as always, please bet wisely, bet responsibly. Jacksonville Jaguars. They get Mason Smith. I like that. You know, bulky. He's got to get his freaks. And Smith, man, bit of a project probably. Only has 1 full year playing like interior. But, man, I like the potential. And then they grab Jarrian Jones, who honestly probably could play outside, but his breakout year did come in the slot. So I'm kind of expecting him maybe to be more of a slot player, but maybe they go ahead and be like, hey, no, go ahead, play outside. Maybe they stick that with Ronald Darby. I don't know. It gives them options. I like it. I'm gonna give it. Yeah, I mean, this was about the right value for each of these guys. I'm gonna go B for now. Yeah, I'm gonna go B for now. I'm gonna go B. Let's stick there. Again, these are gut reactions. Feelings can change. Indianapolis Colts. Okay, first off, they got grabbed Adonai Mitchell. They kind of they traded back and then like, okay, I mean, if he's gonna be here for us, we'll take him. Great on you, A+++. Matt Goncalves felt a little early to me. Maybe they see him as a guard. I don't think they're gonna see him as a tackle. Maybe backup behind. They did have injury concerns with Braden Smith. Was hurt a few times, and Blake Freeland was a rookie. Let's just call it what it is. He was a rookie. But maybe they're seeing him more as an interior. I don't know. This was high. I kind of had him more as an early day 3 pick, so that kind of brings the grade down a little bit. But still, the value of Adonai Mitchell, I'm going to give it an A. Again, not feeling too harsh today, man. I guess I'm just not feeling too harsh. Houston Texans. All their picks came here on day 2. They go Kamari Lassiter. That was a little early for me. Is he going to play on the outside? Is he going to play in the slot? I think maybe they see him in the slot. I don't know. We'll find out. Blake Fisher, also, this was not terribly early for me because I think I had him as a 3rd rounder. So that's maybe your future there over Tyus Bowser. So I don't mind that. Kalen Bullock. Not a lot of center fielders in this class. They get one who could eventually be a good pairing with Jalen Pitre. But I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I will say you address positions of value, but like Lassiter, a good player. You're scared that will the lack of speed show up? There is gonna be that concern. So I'm a little more out on this. I'm gonna go with a C for now, but I'm kind of leaning towards B. I think maybe I'll just give it a B. Yeah, I'll just give it a B. Now I'm feeling really bad about giving the Patriots a C. Maybe I don't think maybe they deserve that though. All right, we got the Green Bay Packers. So day 2 was just not addressing positions of value. If you're like, what? These are positions in need for us. Positions of value, positions in need, not the same thing. Linebacker, safety, running back, not very valuable positions. But they were our positions of need for the Packers. They got Edwin Cooper. I really liked that pick quite a bit. Javon Bullard, I liked that pick quite a bit as well. A guy that could work in the slot and at safety. Marshawn Lloyd, I was like, that's fine. That's fine. This is a cat that gives you something a little bit different than what they actually a bit different than what they have in their current running back room, and gives you a legitimate like pass catching option though. I mean, I hope they use Josh Jacobs in that facet more so than the Raiders ever did. However, I think the Tyron Hopper thing, like they picked him up. I'm not that high on him to begin with. Then it was like, okay, you double dipped at linebacker. I really don't love it. So it's like I like 3 of the 4 players here. I wish they addressed positions of value. I'll probably be a little bit lower on this after like I really sit on it, but I'm gonna give it a C for now. We'll see how I'm feeling later. Detroit Lions. They only had the 2nd round pick. They double dipped at corner. I like it. This is something Tampa Bay did in the past, which, hey, now they got Carlton Davis. But actually, like Tampa Bay, they did this with Carlton Davis. They kept addressing corner in the first 2 to 3 rounds in like back-to-back drafts because it was like, hey, this is a position we're just unable to get right, and we're really trying to get it right. Well, they eventually did when they got Carlton Davis, and then I think it was the following draft they got Jamil Dean. Lions, they're like, hey, this is a position of need for us. They go up, they get Terrion Arnold. That's great. Again, we're not grading that. But they get Ennis Rakestraw, who this is actually ideally where I would take Rakestraw. Like, A lot of people were pretty high on him. We had like that back end of the first round of hype, and then it kind of wore off after the combine. And then it was kind of more early to mid second, but I kind of liked him at the back end of the second. That's kind of where I probably really had him. So I really like this for the Lions. I like the idea of double dipping. I'm going to give it an A. Again, doesn't blow my socks off. Like if I was including the Tamarian Arnold pickup, probably is. But again, just grading what they did on day 2, and I like it. Denver Broncos did have one pick, and it was Jonah Ellis, and it was good value, where it was like early to mid 3rd round. I do wish they probably got a little. I wish they aimed to get a little bit bigger at edge, but they are definitely shooting for no. We're just going to be disruptive as hell. So I think that's solid. They got him for good value. I'm going to give it a B. I will say Ellis is a player I'm a bit higher on, so I kind of want to give it an A. I'm going to stick with B. I'm going to stick with B for now. Dallas Cowboys. Why didn't you get a running back? I got 7 first-round picks in Dynasty, and I was expecting one of them to be whatever rookie running back they selected on day 2, and they said, nah, not in this draft. But I do love the players that they got, at least 2 of the 3. Marshawn Nealon, really good value. He was in my top 40, very high on him. This gives you a little more flexibility when it comes to DeMarcus Lawrence and having to pay him. Cooper BB, great pickup. You're probably moving him to the right side, since guidance probably going to be your left tackle. But part of me is like, maybe Cooper BB's playing center for this team. Regardless, I like it. I love it. This was appropriate value for him. Ferris Lufau, this was a little high for me. I had a 5th round grade on him, but I get it why people like him. The length, the explosiveness, like just coming downhill, wanting to hit. But like when it comes to like the cerebral aspect of linebacker, it's not there for him. Coverage could end up being a coverage bust. Missed tackle machine, very aggressive as a tackler. So I think I'm gonna give this a. I mean, I really do like Marshawn Nealon and Cooper Beebe. I don't think I could be soured on Lufau. Okay, we got the Cleveland Browns. Both their picks came on day 2, and they were both really good picks. Zach Zidner and Michael Hall Jr. This is what I've been saying for like, I think, since September, that this feels like a team that, yeah, they have limited draft capital, and they'll probably address the trenches. They got guys getting older on top of, this is a team that likes to bring in 1-year deals, especially on the defensive interior. So it made sense for them to shore up the trenches. Zach Zidner, I imagine, will be like the heir apparent to Joel Bitonio. So, yeah, man, I'm going to give it an A, man. I like what they did there. I like it. Okay, we got Cincinnati Bengals. So they go with Chris Jenkins. Good pick. That's about the range he probably should have gone in. We did see kind of a big run on defensive interiors early in the 2nd round. So them being able to stay put and grab him, I thought that was good. That was nice. They grabbed Jermaine Burton. They take a shot. I like taking a shot on Jermaine Burton. This was a cat that probably could have been a top 50 player if not for some of the character red flags with him. So I like that. Oh, is this a T. Higgins guy? Is this a Tyler Boyd guy? Yes, this is a guy that I think can work inside the slot A-okay, but he also gives you that vertical ability. Then McKinley Jackson, double dipping here on the defensive interior, really trying to shape that interior. That was kind of a letdown this past season. McKinley Jackson's that big meat there, and I get why, like, this is a bit higher than where I had him, but it's understandable because, well, there's not too many big meaty boys in this class when it comes to the defensive interior. So you have Chris Jenkins, who's probably going to be working more with like BJ Hill, and then McKinley Jackson, who's going to be able to come in and be that big nose tackle. So like, yeah, I like it. I mean, I feel like it was like a solid B. Solid B. Chicago Bears oh yeah, that's right, they had Kieran Amagaji. So I kind of like this at the beginning. Like, a lot of the project tackles were starting to go, and Amagaji was just chilling there. They were like, well, screw it, man. Braxton Jones, he's going into his 3rd year. We could maybe get some good draft capital from for him before we have to pay him. And we can just get his heir apparent. Like, we already took a toolsy guy when we took Braxton Jones in the 4th at Southern Utah, and it paid off, paid dividends, and now we can maybe turn him into really good draft capital. Let's just go ahead, take Kieran Amagaji and start prepping him to be that heir apparent. And I like that. That's a good pick by them. I'm going to go with an A. It's a good pick. Carolina Panthers. So I'm not in love necessarily with what they did here. They went with Jonathan Brooks. This was the first running back off the board. If you're not new to the channel, you know I'm a big fan of Trey Benson. I thought he was kind of the best running back by a country mile, but I get it why people were kind of on the Brooks train, so to speak. Panthers, they went out, they specifically moved up to get ahead of the Giants to go make this pick. Yeah. I mean, now you're going to have to eventually get off that stinking Miles Sanders contract. That was terrible. And they get their guy. That's great. This is probably going to be the top running back taken in dynasty drafts. Take a note. And then they go Trevin Wallace. I've been saying, man, Dan Morgan ain't leaving the draft without a linebacker. And Trevin Wallace was like, I think my 4th or 5th linebacker in this class. It's just someone who's not going to be able to play early. Doesn't have the wherewithal to actually go out there and just like play. Doesn't have the nuances of the position down. Could be a guy that lets up on some big plays. But in terms of tools, he's got them, and he's got them in spades. I really like that about him. But these are two not very valuable positions, unfortunately. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a C. Again, I mean, these were these were probably proper where I would take these guys, but I'm not in love with, like, for a team like the Panthers to swing on less valuable positions. Buffalo Bills. So they open up the second round getting Keon Coleman, and they milked it down to every second. I don't know if they were trying to get a trade down, and just one didn't come through. We'll get that news later on with some of the behind the scenes, but they get Keon Coleman. It gets them some size there in their receiving core. Fine, that's cool. I had other receivers ahead of them, but again, like, not too far off. Cole Bishop, I feel like he is such a perfect fit for the Buffalo Bills. They're at safety. I really liked the pickup here. Then Dwayne Carter gives them a little bit more size on the interior. A good run defender with a nasty bull rush. But again, not kind of wowed by this. I'm just going to give it a B. Give it a B. Baltimore Ravens. I really liked what they did. So they go out and get Roger Rosengarten. So this could be their heir apparent at one of the tackle spots. I don't know. It depends on what they do with Daniel Faalele. Stanley's, I think his contract's up after this season. Don't quote me on that. Could be just speaking on my butt. So it was a fine pickup. This was about the range I had him in. Adisa Isaac was falling. They snagged him. I like that. That's great value. Good job. I'm going to give them an A. Good job, Baltimore Ravens. Atlanta Falcons. Let's talk this out because I think they drafted good players. I really didn't like the trade for Rook Araujo. Like the player, didn't like the trade. As they gave up one of their 3rd round picks. And while the 2nd round was going on, we were constantly seeing just better trades. The trade wasn't that good. And then they go get Rook Araujo. You had a guy like Jerzon Newton still on the board, who I'd be like, hey, he's kind of more ready though. You could make a good case that Araujo's got a much better upside. So I get why you would like him, but really hated the trade. They ended up going with Braylon Trice later on. I like that. Good pickup. Still hated the trade. I don't know if it's enough for me to be like, man, I really like these two players, but I really hate that trade. I'm gonna give them a B for now. Arizona Cardinals. They were some busy bees. We didn't see Monty really get slicing and dicing with trades, and then shoot. Day 2 came around. He was like, hold my beer. They made a heck of a lot of selections. So let's kind of go over all of these. They start with Max Melton after trading back. They were a part of that Atlanta trade where they picked up an extra 3rd round. So Max Melton, good pickup. I was like, great. This is a guy that can contend at that corner 2 spot immediately and play next to Sean Murphy-Bunting. You're going to have Garrett Williams there in the slot. And then they took Trey Benson, a guy near and dear to my heart. They legitimately had no one behind James Conner. When James Conner got beat up, and this is a guy that, man, he eats a healthy volume, but he's going to miss some time for you here and there. They had no one behind him. Hell yes. Not only do you get Trey Benson, a guy who complements Conner so well, but you probably have the heir apparent. You really do. Isaiah Adams, this was a little bit earlier than I would take him, but he's probably going to contend for one of the guard spots early. And that's kind of funny. I didn't even notice they double dipped with Illinois. Again, Tip Raymond was another guy I was like, ooh, I got a 5th round grade on him. They're out here taking a blocking tight end. Granted, great receiving upside. Really not used in that aspect at Illinois. But still, this was a little rich for me. So those 2 picks, I was kind of like, okay, I really liked what you were doing early, but okay. These 2 picks are kind of whatevs. And then they reel it back in like, we ain't done at corner yet. We know our cornerback room needs help, and we're going to address it with Elijah Jones, who's Breen's size. Size that Max Melton was kind of lacking. I'm not saying he's small, but, well, Elijah Jones is big. He's big, and he's going to put more meat on them bones. So I actually came away really liking this. I don't know if I could give it an A+, because again, like picks like Isaiah Adams had higher guards on the board. Tip Ryman had him as a 5th rounder. Like those picks didn't really hit home for me, but like just how Monty like maneuvered the draft, addressed the corner position, and granted, like addressed positions value, corner and tackle. Well, guard. Okay, let's be fair, guard. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with an A, man. Go with an A. I don't know. Maybe there's just something spunky about the stinking Cardinals. I don't know. Let's wrap this sucker up. We're talking about my Miami Dolphins. They got Patrick Paul. I would have loved Christian Haynes here, but I mean Haynes would be more immediate. Patrick Paul, you're kind of looking to the future. He's not going to start right away. He's got a lot of very intriguing tools. He gets to learn from Terrion Armstead. These are all pluses. I mean, I wasn't wowed by it, but this is about the range I had him going in. Man, I wish the Dolphins had more picks. I don't know. Part of me just doesn't want to love it. I'm going to give it a B. It's a project tackle. I'm going to give it a B. Kind of swinging. Kind of is what it is. I don't know. They're my team. Listen, maybe I'm just self-hated Dolphins fan. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm a self-loathing Dolphins fan. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you want more draft content, well, shoot. Check it out here, man. I had a top 200 big board. I'm going to be talking about my best available players for day 3. And just, you're going to get that video probably in another hour or 2. But, hey, I'll be streaming tomorrow for day 3. So join us for that. And as always, until next time, be easy, my friends. Later. Lost my voice there at the end. That's not good.